Attention! Here is something big banks don't want you to know about your IRA or 401k. You can store your retirement savings where you can actually see, touch, and hold it in your hands. With a Paradigm Gold or Silver IRA, you can transfer a portion of your savings to physical gold and silver coin and store them where you can see them. The stock market is close to its all-time high, and your retirement might be at risk again. But you can trust Paradigm Gold Group to help.
Call 800-417-3932. 800-417-3932.
Paradigm Gold Group is a gold IRA leader, rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, where gold and silver has been in the family business for over 40 years. Call for your free guide to Paradigm's Gold IRA. Protect your retirement savings today with Paradigm.
Call 800-417-3932. 800-417-3932.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we're going to be talking about the local, state, and national reports for sports betting revenue and handle. We've got legislation to talk about. We've got a lot of legislation to talk about, a bunch of deals to talk about, and a bunch of launches. But first of all, welcome to Mobile Sports Betting Louisiana.
Yeah, no, that was the big story this week. Boy, Louisiana, nice.
They launched on Friday at around, I guess, 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8 a.m. Central. It's a launch day when your inbox is flooded with press release after press release from all the different books and companies talking about they're now live wherever they're live at. Mm-hmm. And I got inundated this morning. We're taping this on the Friday of the launch. I got inundated with press release after press release of Caesars. We've got BetMGM, we've got FanDuel, DraftKings. All of them are now live in Louisiana. There's a whole bunch of them. It was kind of an interesting lead up to the launch of mobile betting in Louisiana because they had a very specific issue with the geofencing.
Well, I know most states have counties, they have parishes. So when I say parishes, I'm kind of talking about counties. But certain parishes in Louisiana, you can't place a bet. So
they didn't vote for sports betting in their parish.
The geolocation's very specific down in Louisiana.
It was kind of. I don't think any other state had this happen, where within the state they had to geofence locations off. I know in certain states where the tribal casinos are.
I'm curious to see how that's going to work.
But from what I understand, that was one of the issues leading up to a sort of a slower pace launch for the mobile sports betting. They really had to test out the geofencing. Again, like I just said, a lot of the tribal casinos in certain states are having sports betting, and they have to be geofenced off.
Sure.
So I'm assuming the technology has to be tuned a little differently.
Look, the technology is so good nowadays. When New Jersey first started online casinos, and I guess it was 2013, I got to be honest with you, the geolocation was a mess. I could play casinos in one room of my house, but I couldn't play in the other room of my house, and that was one of the big things about it. And you had to be certain a couple of miles away from the border of the different states, so it was just a mess. And I'm glad the technology is really improving.
One of the other reasons they launched it this weekend is because of the conference championship game involving the Bengals.
Sure.
They have two LSU players.
Yep.
Burrow and Lamar Chase, or Jamar Chase. I'm assuming, I don't know if that's a indication that they don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl.
I don't. Well, look, this was the playoffs for football and certainly the Super Bowl was a goal for any sports betting market. So, what I don't know what the
the goal
thing
is
was,
Super Bowl, but
certainly the Super Bowl. But certainly it doesn't hurt that 2 LSU players played the conference championship.
Like I said, I hope this is an indication that they don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. But again, Louisiana is going to be fun to watch these first couple of weeks here. I don't know if it's going to be New York level numbers coming out of them, but it may be Arizona numbers.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Because Louisiana has Texans coming over the border to do mobile sports betting because Texas has nothing.
Yep.
Other than private card rooms.
It should be interesting.
But they launched. They have supposedly six sports books launched: Betfred, BetMGM, BetRivers, Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel. I didn't get any notice from Betfred or BetRivers, but I'm assuming they're launching today too. Again, I'm saying this as we're taping it. And the one thing I noticed also, Caesars is in great position in Louisiana. They've got the naming rights to the Superdome, and that's going to have some March Madness games in it.
Sure. That's
Which,
great.
by the way, you're allowed to bet on in-state colleges in Louisiana.
See, that's great. I mean, New Jersey doesn't have that. For people who don't know, New Jersey, you can't bet on the colleges or universities that are located in your state, and you can't bet on any collegiate activity that occurs within the state borders of New Jersey. So, good for states who look beyond that kind of crazy rule.
And Caesars, speaking of LSU, we just talked about the Bengals. Caesars also has to deal with LSU athletics.
Sure.
They've got a sports betting deal there. They've got the brand new revamped Harrah's New Orleans there.
I think Caesars is going to do very well in Louisiana.
Caesars might actually get the early lead in Louisiana.
Well, we'll see.
I know they got the early lead in New York.
You always have to wait a couple of weeks and really see the numbers,
Well,
certainly, day 1, day 2, day 3, that really it kind of shows you how many people are betting. But to get a handle on how the actual sports books are doing, I always like a week, 2 weeks, or something like that to really see the numbers.
Well, again, Louisiana is going to be another market to watch. It's going to be just as big as in terms of number of sports books as possibly Arizona is, because they got a similar law in the books like that state, except for those parishes that don't allow it. Mm-hmm. Again, that's going to be going to be more interesting to me to watch the way the technology works with this. If the geofencing actually succeeds 100%, I don't know if it's going to be 100%, but watch Sport Radar's numbers for the transactions, GeoComply as well. It'll be fun to watch to see exactly how the first weekend pans out for New Orleans, but it's Louisiana as a state. Mm-hmm. A couple other launches to hit. I know we usually start with numbers, but might as well talk launches because we're already talking about Louisiana. We've got PointsBet launching in New York. Okay. They are now the 6th sportsbook in New York City, or New York State. We also have a brand new sportsbook launching in Iowa. We have the very first DRF sportsbook launching.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Daily Racing Form.
Okay, all right, great.
They are the first sports book for Affinity Interactive. They have the deal with the Daily Racing Form to launch DRF bets. They are the 18th online sports book in Iowa.
Wow, they have a lot.
That's a growing market there too.
Sure.
Iowa is number 3 in terms of the number of active operators.
Okay.
They are number 3, Colorado, then Jersey, then Iowa.
Okay.
You wouldn't think Iowa would be there.
Yeah,
I would think
I was
Arizona
surprised when
been.
you said how many online sports books they have. So good for Iowa.
Hard Rock announced a deal to launch Hard Rock Sportsbook in Arizona.
Okay.
No launch date has been announced, but they have made that deal. One interesting, I guess you can call this a product launch. I don't know how else to call this for PointsBet. We just talked about them launching in New York State. They have launched, and let me get this right, live in-game, same-game parlay options for NFL and NBA contests.
It's interesting.
Now, most places, most books offer pregame, same-game parlays.
Yeah, I've never have done a same-game parlay live in game.
Well, that's
so now I can
the
do
very
it in
first
PointsBet.
one only with PointsBet. They
I'm going to try that. It's an interesting.
They've
thing.
got that technology that they got from Odds Factory, where it allows them to seamlessly update the odds and the data and the content from the different sporting events. I think we talked about it last week where they had just tested it out, this technology, during an NFL playoff game, and what people noticed was there was no suspensions of numbers. You know, like when every so often you try and make an in-game bet and you hit that SUSP on the screen.
Uh-huh.
This technology that they have allows them to avoid having to do that.
Well, I'm certainly going to try it. I have a PointsBet account, and I'm definitely going to give this a shot.
Well, in-game betting is popular.
Oh, it's very popular.
And as a matter of fact, it's becoming very popular in Canada, of all places, too.
Okay.
The Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation. This was an interesting number. 42% of all wagering is in-game betting on their Pro Line Plus sports betting platform. 50% of all bets placed on NBA games were in-game. 38% of both NHL and MLB games were in-game bets. 33% of its football betting, American football, NFL, and the college, were in-game betting. So in-game is becoming very popular in Canada, more so than pre-game betting.
Those numbers are going to skyrocket because I don't think Canada has had a baseball season yet because baseball is such a great sport for in-game betting. And, if Canadians like in-game betting, try it with baseball. It's a lot of fun.
Over with the British Columbia Lottery, their sports betting operation, they have the PlayNow.com platform. They reported a 176% increase in in-game betting since they launched. So your statement about baseball may actually be even bigger on the PlayNow platform.
Yeah.
So kind of fun to watch some of these launches, some of these different new products coming out. I'm very curious to see how DRF Bets performs.
Yeah, no,
it's such a
absolutely.
well-known brand.
Certainly, yeah. No, I like the fact that they're getting into that.
I wonder if people are going to get confused with the DRF. If I didn't tell you it was Daily Racing Form, would you think DRF?
No, I wasn't thinking Daily Racing Form at all. I just don't think of them in terms of sports betting, but now I have to.
Well, they have launched, and they do plan to expand to other states. So.
Good. I hope they come to Jersey.
Now let's go back to how we usually start the show here, talking about some of the numbers that are the state and national reports that come out for sports betting. Arizona reported their numbers for November, fastest state to $1 billion in handle in the entire country.
That's incredible. 3 months, right?
That's going to be shattered by New York.
Well, New York already has sports betting. They just started mobile sports betting.
But mobile sports betting alone is going to be $1 billion after the first month.
But Arizona is 3 months old.
Yes.
3 months old. I mean, it's not like New York.
That'll be a very interesting market to see if they can sustain that as well. I know because I saw the October numbers and the November numbers. The November handle was slightly lower than October. So I wonder how...
Well, October is always a big month because, you have all the sports playing. You have the World Series. So, November is always going to be a little lower than October.
Well, with Arizona being the final state to report their November numbers, God, we used to think Illinois was late.
Boy, they still have to do
numbers.
their December one, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Illinois now looks early compared to Arizona with these reports. For November sports betting revenue, in terms of sports betting handle, November brought in $7.4 billion in handle. We have a national monthly record in terms of revenue for November. We have a revenue record of $634.9 million in total sports betting revenue across the country. The previous record was set in October. That was $514.8 million. So we have over $100 million more in revenue coming in November than we did in October. I don't know if that's a function of bad betting or is it a function of more books coming online.
It could be both.
Or more states.
Yeah, no, it's hard to get these numbers down because, you wonder how much of the expanding sports betting market is just driving these numbers up, and you're wondering how much of how well people are betting, people getting money from the state and the hold and things like that. So it's that's why there are companies looking at these numbers constantly.
Well, I know Nevada had almost an all-time low hold in terms of their monthly numbers. I think it was something like a 1.58% or 1.8. It was under 2% hold. So the books did not do well in terms of the $1 billion handle only brought in a really low amount of revenue.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see how much the books are making and the people are taking from the books and how that affects the revenue things and like that. So it's very interesting.
Continuing with one other little national note, 21 of 24 states set new monthly revenue records in November.
Okay. Wow.
Tennessee became the 8th state to surpass $3 billion in handle. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Indiana, and Michigan to hit $3 billion in handle. I'm very curious to see when Arizona hits that number, too.
Well, yeah, no, pretty soon, I would think. Oh, I think Arizona is just an incredible market.
And as we've been saying throughout this segment here, Arizona took 3 months to hit the $1 billion mark. They actually did $1.2 billion in 3 months. That was their total handle. They are also the 6th state to reach $50 million in gross gaming revenue for a month. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Michigan as the only 6 states to hit $50 million in gross gaming revenue. Now, gross gaming revenue is the overall revenue before all the promo dollars are taken out.
Yep.
So whatever the taxable revenue is, they set the record in terms of gross gaming revenue, because I know some states don't allow for the promos to be taken out before they tax them.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're going to see possibly a change in Virginia doing that. They have a bill on the books that says that after the first 12 months of operation, you can't deduct the promos before you're getting taxed on the number that comes in.
We'll see.
So
we'll
see what happens there.
Yeah,
exactly. We actually have a whole bunch of legislation. Since I just brought up the legislation, I might as well talk about some of the things that are going on in the various states. We actually have a Hawaii sports betting bill to talk about.
See, I don't think that's going anywhere. I really don't think. I mean, Hawaii doesn't have lottery, do they?
No,
they don't have lottery. They don't have casinos. And I always said Hawaii would be the great place for casino resorts, but they don't have anything. I'm not sure how they're going to get sports betting. They're making a major leap in their gaming expansion when they don't even have a lottery.
Well, they have 5 bills on the books for gaming. One of them does create a state lottery.
Okay.
I don't know where that one's going to go, but all the other ones seem to depend upon the lottery commission running sports betting. So I'm assuming that lottery.
I guess they have to have a lottery first. Yeah,
exactly. But the interesting thing with Hawaii, we thought New Hampshire and New York were nuts with that 51% tax rate that they have.
Yeah.
Hawaii's bill is going to go 55%.
Wow.
I don't know if they're going to have a single operator set up like New Hampshire or Oregon, or are they going to go?
Would it even be worth the operators doing business in Hawaii if the taxes are going to be that crazy?
If you think about it, they were saying that about New York and New Hampshire too.
Yeah, but look,
New Hampshire is pretty much equal to Hawaii, I think.
New York is its own kind of animal. New York, it's an incredible population there. It's the media center of the world, and it's one of those things. New York is something interesting, and 51% is probably the cost of doing business in New York. But seriously, I mean, we talked about this with Arkansas. They proposed a 51% tax rate,
which is now being delayed.
Yeah,
that was taken off the.
That's just crazy. I don't know who's going to want to operate in Hawaii with a 54% tax 55%. Rate. 55% tax rate.
It's that extra 1%.
Yeah, that's 54 they can get along with, but 55, that's crazy.
I don't know. It really depends on the structure. I think if you look at the way New Hampshire has it set up versus New Jersey. I mean, if they do the New York model, where they have 2 operators with sub-licenses underneath all those operators, that actually might work in Hawaii. I don't know.
So.
I know there's a lot of people going from Hawaii to gamble in the United States, that's a huge. That they have a huge population doing that.
Well, didn't you just do something in Beating the House that 2 people from Hawaii won jackpots?
In Vegas, yeah.
No, I guess Vegas is the place to go if you live in Hawaii. If you live in one of the vacation capitals of the world as Hawaii, where do you go on vacation? I guess you go to Vegas.
Yep. But again, it'll actually be kind of interesting to see what passes in Hawaii. They've had these bills on the books.
Nothing's going to pass in
since
Hawaii.
2020, 2021.
Nothing's going anywhere in Hawaii.
We'll see what happens with that one. Maryland's going to be kind of interesting to watch because even though Maryland has all these different sports books being launched in terms of the mobile as well as the retail books, there's a new bill being considered by the Maryland legislature, the Maryland Senate to be exact. They will restrict the awarding of sports betting licenses if the location that's applying for a sports betting license is near a sports venue that's already been awarded a sports betting license.
Okay.
So if you're within a certain radius of a venue, a sports venue that has a sports betting license, don't bother applying. You're not going to get it if this passes.
Oh, okay.
So they're already pulling back some of these licenses. If you think about it, they had what 80 licenses on the books for this state, and now they're actually maybe this is smart. This is kind of a regulatory maneuver where they're actually going to have better control over it.
Well, it also restricts competition, and competition between either casinos or sports betting operators. It's always good for the consumer. So I don't know why they're doing something like this. I don't get the reason. More competition is better for the consumer. So, well, I don't know what their reasoning is.
Well, over in Ohio, which hasn't launched yet, they passed it. They haven't launched yet. They have issued a revised set of rules for sports betting, which means they're getting closer to the launch.
See, I thought they were going to be launching within like a couple of weeks
after
the start of the new year.
They have.
I really thought they would.
All the legislators have said they're going to take their time with this and do it the right way.
They have so many examples in different states across this country. They know how it's going to work. They know the operators involved. They know how the operators do their business. So I'm not sure why they're taking so long to do this.
Well, here may be the big reason. They want to have a universal start date. They don't want to do individual rollouts for different books. They have a date set in mind of January 1st, 2023 as the latest sports betting will start. Could start earlier.
Okay. All right.
But they want to have a universal launch where everyone launches at the same time. And by that they mean the sports teams, their digital partners, the casinos' digital partners, and the brick-and-mortar locations will launch first. They're still going to have a staggered rollout, but the main licensees are going to launch first, and then they're going to have the kiosk-based venues launch after them.
All right.
But they want a universal start date. They don't want to do the piecemeal as they go along kind of thing.
Hey, start right before baseball season. Although who knows with the lockout how that's going to go, but start before baseball season.
Well, before we move on to some deals, the city of Tucson did something interesting in terms of sports betting. The sports betting bill in Arizona allows sports teams and venues, if they have an attendance or a capacity of audience capacity of 10,000 people, to apply for a sports betting license. In Tucson, the only team that could qualify as a pro sports team was the indoor football team, the Sugar Skulls.
Okay. Sugar Skulls?
The Tucson Sugar Skulls.
That's
a Day of the Dead kind of thing. That's what you give out. Day of the Dead.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually pretty cool. I looked
Very
at the
interesting
team logo
name
and everything else. It's actually a pretty cool looking team. They have an arena called the TCC Arena, which is run by the city of Tucson. They did not have 10,000 seats. So they were the only professional sports team in Tucson. They did not qualify for a sports betting license as they were when the bill was passed.
Did they add more seats?
The city of Tucson added a convention center.
Okay.
So they now have gobs of seats.
All right, good.
They
good
are
for
over
them.
the 10,000
All right.
mark.
Just add more
10,000
seats.
seat mark. They added more seats, and they will be applying for a sports betting license. It's actually really nice to see a city bend over
them.
backwards to do that, because
That's great.
I think the city sees the money coming in already.
Sure.
And
Sure.
It's kind of amazing the money that's coming in for Arizona. A couple of deals to talk about real quick. We have Caesar Sportsbook announcing a partnership agreement with the New York Racing Association, NYRA.
Okay, good.
Caesars is an official sports betting marketing partner and title sponsor of the NYRA Turf Triple Series. Caesar Sportsbooks will be allowing some premium seating availability to their VIP players at the Saratoga Racecourse. There's going to be special promos for Belmont Park, Saratoga Racecourse. Kind of an interesting deal in terms of NYRA Bets being involved with Caesars, and also NYRA Bets has the sports betting app with BetMGM as well.
Oh, great.
So they've got 2 sportsbook deals already on the books there. Actually, one last little piece of New York legislation to talk about. I don't know if you've been following the Seneca Nation and their lawsuit against New York about paying the gaming fees that they owe the state.
Sure.
A court ruled against them, and the court said that the Seneca Nation owed New York State $435 million. Seneca has finally agreed to pay that, but one of the conditions for them to pay the entire $435 million without even appealing it is they got to renegotiate the gaming compact in terms of allowing sports betting and some other expansions going on. So sports betting's working out to a lot of people's favor throughout New York State. We've got MaximBet announcing an agreement with sports betting provider Kambi, where MaximBet will be using Kambi's technology and sports betting services, as well as compliance management software.
That's going to be a fun sports book to be on. I can't wait till they come to New Jersey. I guess they have future plans for New Jersey, so I can't wait for MaximBet.
They've got a bunch of states in the pipeline.
Yeah,
not just New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it'll be
it's like one of those up and coming sports books.
The BetMakers Technology, the horse racing group, announced a amended deal with Derby Development and the New Jersey Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. It's an amended odds and data distribution deal that's going to go 15 years for fixed odds throughout the state. Before it was just for the fixed odds for 10 years, but one of the additional parts of the deal is a content distribution avenue where BetMakers will be the exclusive content distributor for a lot of the races in New Jersey that deal with fixed odds.
Good. Boy, that's a big thing, fixed odds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate to go back to New York again.
Okay.
We have Wynn Resorts looking at selling off their online betting and gaming business.
Oh, WynnBet, right?
WynnBet.
All right.
What makes this interesting is if they sell their digital gaming business, there's already a possibility that Las Vegas Sands could buy that license in New York. Las Vegas Sands, in their investor day, said that they're going to continue to pursue digital gaming opportunities. And this was right after WynnBet said that they're going to be on the seller's block.
Well, it looks like a good move for them then.
That's it for this week's Turnpike Sports Book Report. Keep the press releases coming in to us for the book report segment, info@turnpikesportsradio.com. There will be a print version, as always, after this show is released. And head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and click on the blog button for that as well.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.